Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Jim here, how y'all doing? Hope you're having a wonderful day, as wonderful as I am anyway. Today, wanted to talk about something that I think I've never actually talked about on this channel, despite the fact that I've had the channel for like 12 years now, and all 12 years I've been here in Japan. And it's something that comes up quite a bit, and I've made videos about video games based on anime in the past, like quite a lot of them, since I cover a lot of Japan exclusive games, but I've never actually talked about anime itself, and I guess sort of like my history of watching and enjoying anime, which I understand the way I'm saying it is anime when the actual correct pronunciation is anime. I don't care. We grew up saying it that way, anime. That was always, you know, kind of just how we said it because that was how it was said on television. The first time I actually heard the word anime, I want to say I was like 10 years old, maybe. It would have been like 1996 or 97. And some of you older viewers of mine may remember this, a commercial that I think was only ever on cable. I recall seeing it a lot maybe on like the Sci-Fi Channel, and it was, I think it was an advertisement for just a series of mail-order VHS tapes. It was called like the Best of Japanese Anime, and it was pushing kind of like the edgy, kind of like 90s cyberpunk, sci-fi, and horror anime. It said something to the effect of like a bizarre and exotic world of Japanese anime. Akira makes Blade Runner look like Disneyland.
Akira. Critics say Akira makes Blade Runner look like Disney World. It's action-packed, the future of animation. Sisco and Ebert call it the video pick of the week. Akira is yours for only $4.95 with subscription when you order the Best of Japanese Animation Collection Series.
So that was really my first time to hear the word anime and to understand that there was such a thing out there as anime, and it was different from all of that American animation I'd enjoyed as a kid. It was different from Disney. It was different from my Saturday morning cartoons. It was more adult-oriented. It was edgy and stylish and cool. And that was something that immediately grabbed my attention because even at that age, as like a little kid, I liked animated stuff that maybe you could argue I maybe shouldn't have been watching at the time, or at least I should have had like some parental supervision. But I was big into like the stuff on MTV. I really liked Liquid Television, and this is when I was like a little kid, like watching it with my cousins. Beavis and Butthead, Eon Flux, like the stuff on HBO, like Spawn, and a very short-lived series called, I think it was called like was it like Spicy City or something like that? It was like a Ralph Bakshi show. But as a kid, I liked cartoons with like violence and swearing and like edgy humor and things like that. So when I saw this commercial promoting exactly that, and it looked super cool, that was like immediately, oh, I want to watch that. That looks really awesome. So for me, like right then and there, that's what anime was to me. It was stylish, cool looking, violent, sexy, cyberpunk, blah blah blah, all the buzzwords. And I got to watch a few of them kind of edited for content on the Sci-Fi Channel. So they would air things like, I think they aired Ghost in the Shell and Akira, like the original dub of Akira with, what's his name, Cam Clark, the voice of Leonardo as Kaneda. They would air stuff like that, but eventually I discovered there was a movie channel on extended cable called the Stars Action Channel, and they would have what they called Anna Midnight. And if you tuned in for Anna Midnight on Saturdays, they would play some kind of anime that again was more in the vein of the more adult-oriented anime. And some nights you would get just a single OVA. It could be like an hour long or a 90-minute movie. And other nights they would play just an entire series. For example, one fateful night they played all 6 episodes of New Dominion Tank Police. And that was really awesome, but they also played like a lot of my old favorites. Again, they would play things like Ghost in the Shell, but also stuff like Wicked City, which if you've ever seen Wicked City, You know how awesome, but kind of like strange and horrific it is at the same time. Again, I was like 11 years old at the time, maybe 11 or 12, watching this stuff. Things like Demon City Shinjuku was another big favorite of mine. Blood Rain Curse of the Yoma was an excellent ninja anime with lots of blood and guts, so I really liked that. Psycho Diver Soul Siren, that was really cool. Had kind of an almost like Scanners kind of plot to it, with a cult thrown in for good measure, so that was really great. A big one at the time for me was Twilight of the Dark Master, which was just, it was like moody and dark and atmospheric, but it was like demons and people with like psychic powers, and there's blood and violence and nudity and all the stuff a growing 12-year-old needs to fuel his young mind. So at the time, that was all like my favorite anime, and what I would do is I would stay up late on Saturday nights and record all of it on VHS, usually on like extended play, so I could get as many as possible. So the sound was all, you know, shitty, and it wasn't great quality at all. But I would record these, you know, adult cyberpunk horror sci-fi anime off of the Starz Action channel, and then I would pass it around to all my friends. So I kind of became like the gateway for all of my friends who then became interested in anime. They didn't have, I guess, digital cable, and my household was lucky enough to have it. So I kind of got a lot of my other friends into anime by doing that, by just sharing anime I'd recorded off of TV with them. Now at the same time, anime was starting to become a little more popular in the States, mostly through Funimation and Cartoon Network. And of course we were fans of things like Dragon Ball Z and Gundam, and Yu Yu Hakusho was a favorite as well. So this was all in the late 90s, early 2000s when I was a young teen. And I would say up until maybe about 2007, I would still kind of like watch anime. As a teenager, I was pretty big into it. I got into my later teens. I was a little less interested, but I was picking up new anime and some manga because I had started working a job at Sam Goody. So I had an employee discount, so I could actually get anime and manga for myself. But as time went on, I found myself interested in less and less of it. There was less of that stuff that I used to enjoy watching on the Starz Action channel for Anna Midnight, and there was more in the way of just kind of like the shonen anime. That was about the time stuff like Naruto and One Piece and all of that was getting really popular, and it was more like everything was like super colorful and bright and had like lots of waifus and stuff in it, which I've never been interested in. I always liked that like dark, moody, you know, horror sci-fi anime, and the more like bright, colorful, over-the-top stuff. It wasn't for me. I tried watching some of the anime at that time, just picking up random stuff at the store, because there weren't a lot of places to find reviews of anime, except if you went to like an anime website, and they would just gush about everything because they were like super fans. So I would pick up stuff like Excel Saga and whatever else, and I just thought it was stupid. So it was around that time I started to lose interest in anime. 2008 rolls around. That's when I left home. I moved to Germany for a couple of years, and while I was in Germany, I was on a zero anime kick. I completely lost interest. I became more interested in music. I started playing guitar at the time. I picked up a little bit of the old drinky while I was there, and I had a longtime girlfriend there. So that's what most of my time was dedicated to, and still playing video games. But shortly after that, in 2010, I found out I was going to be moving to Japan. And that was like super exciting for me. And I had recalled, you know, I grew up loving anime. Maybe going to Japan will rekindle my love of anime. And it did not. It absolutely did not. That's the weird thing. When I came back to Japan, I immediately got back into gaming, retro gaming specifically, and game collecting. That became a big part of my life here. That was why I started this channel to begin with. But I never, you know, developed an interest in anime ever again since then. I live now in Tokyo, Japan, the homeland, the birthplace of anime. I can go to the Toei Animation Museum anytime I want to. It's all around me. It's on television. It's at the movie theater. It's in advertisements. It's at the store. It's on the train. There's anime plastered all over the train that I take to work almost every day. And I could not care less. I could not be less interested in anime, which is weird. As a teen growing up in kind of a more rural part of the United States, I developed a huge interest in anime. And then now that I actually live in Japan, I have zero interest in anime. I never watch it. I don't watch it on television. I don't stream it online. I just don't care. There's no interest for me. And again, it's because mostly what you see that's like thrown in front of you, you could say maybe I'm just like a little ignorant of modern anime, but everything I see, the surface level stuff, is kind of like that stuff that made me lose interest to begin with. It's all very colorful and it's cute and it's more like silly. And it's too like peppy with all the waifus and shit, and I don't really care about any of that. I like my Ghost in the Shells, I like my Akiras, I like my Wicked Cities and Demon City Shinjukus, and Twilight of the Dark Master, and Blood Rain, and Battle Angel was a big one for me at the time too. I like all of that stuff, and to this day, I can still sometimes go back and re-watch that old anime, but it doesn't do it for me anymore. Actually, the last anime that I saw that I actually really liked, I had seen it just before I left home. So this was probably in like late 2007. It was a series called Requiem from the Darkness, Natsuhiko Kyogoku's Requiem from the Darkness. I really liked it for its art style. It had almost like a watercolor like backgrounds and things, and the characters were very odd looking. It had at least a unique visual style to it, and it was a pretty cool horror anime, almost an anthology, if you will, because I do like anthology horror shows, stuff like Tales from the Crypt, Tales from the Dark Side, Monsters. Those were always my favorites. Freddy's Nightmares back in the day. So a good horror anthology will always draw me in. But that was the last one that really garnered any interest from me, that I really enjoyed watching. And since then, nothing, just absolutely nothing. So that's sort of my history with anime. Grew up loving it as a kid, but in particular loving a very specific kind of anime that was geared more towards the adult crowd, I guess you could say. And once I saw less and less of that being released, at least on the surface, you know, again, I could be wrong. There could be lots of that good stuff all over everywhere, and I just don't know where to find it, or I just haven't been paying enough attention. That could be the case too. But since then, and since moving to Japan, I've had zero interest in anime, so it's weird. I went from loving it to being totally indifferent, not caring at all. So if you want to, down in the comments, if you think there's something I'm missing out on, now that I've told you what my taste in anime always was, sci-fi, horror, cyberpunk. I really enjoyed the extreme levels of like violence and sexuality and all the cool edgy stuff they had in them. I liked that. That was the stuff that really did it for me when I was like a teenager, because you know, teens, they can tend to be into some of that more edgy stuff. And as an adult, that still makes me pretty happy. So if there is some anime out there that I'm just ignorant of, I'm just missing out on, please feel free to let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And if you watched all the way to the end of the video, thank you so much. You have the patience of an absolute saint. So thanks for listening to my rambling, and I hope you'll come back for the next one, a much better video next time. But for now though, courage. But thanks again for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it, and I will see you on the next one. Take care. Goodbye.